Hey everyone, AngryHoneyBadger here. It is time for us to take a look at a new champion build video today. We're going to be taking a look at Trundle while we get a first blood kill on the Yasuo. I mean, I didn't get it, but you know, we got first blood. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and talk about Trundle today. We're going to talk about his abilities, items, masteries, runes, everything you need to know about Trundle. So let's go ahead and start off by taking blue buff. Now typically, actually, we're going to talk about abilities. So at level 1, what you typically want to do is take your Q ability, but I took my pillar because of that weird little gank, so that's what we did instead. A little bit different, but you know, it's going to happen. So anyways, we're just going to continue in the jungle. So let's talk about his abilities though. First we have the King's Tribute. When an enemy dies near Trundle, you're going to heal for a percentage of your maximum health. That's your passive on Trundle. Pretty helpful. It works really well in laning, which is why we've seen him a bit more in the LCS up in top lane. He can kind of just lane for a long time and kind of lane bully a little bit. And he's good up there. I would recommend him up there as well. He's good in the jungle, and he is good in top lane. But back to your other abilities. First, there is your Q ability, which is, of course, your Chomp. Now, Chomp, what happens there is Trundle bites his opponent, dealing damage. It also briefly slows them and stops some of their attack. Now, Trundle, when he does this, he lunges. It's going to deal physical damage. It does scale from attack damage as well. And basically, after you use this ability too, you're going to gain additional attack damage for the next 8 seconds. So it's pretty helpful there, just for, you know, in the jungle when you're hitting things over and over and using your Q. You're going to be hitting them and you'll have that increased damage, which allows him to clear pretty easily. And with his passive, he just lives for a really long time. So he lives really, really easily in the jungle too. That's your Q ability. We're going to max that out first. Next, there is your Frozen Domain. Now what this is, Trundle turns target location into his domain, gaining attack speed, movement speed, and increased healing from all sources while on it. Now Trundle coats the target, you know, he's in this area for 8 seconds. That's how long at least it's up. And you gain, you know, your movement speed, your attack speed, and you get that increased healing. So pretty helpful for just, you know, if you're fighting in that area, for getting increased movement speed, attack speed, and all that fun stuff. So that's kind of your Frozen Domain. I will typically be maxing this out second for that increased attack speed and movement speed. It's pretty helpful while ganking and while just clearing while you're standing in it. Like right now when I'm clearing blue buff. So then we have your E ability, which is your Pillar of Ice. Now what happens here is, of course, you're going to basically see that giant pillar come shooting up out of the ground. It will block off enemies because there's obviously a pillar in their way if you put it on certain, you know, sides of them. But all the area around them also will slow them for the next 6 seconds if they're in that, or until they get out of it. Obviously, when you do increase its level, it's going to have a better slow. Here we can see Vi is kind of sitting on the side, so I'm just going to wait for it. I saw that she was going to come in and gank, so we're just going to move in. Lux is going to pick up the kill, and now we both have double buffs. How fun. We were going to swing bottom here and try to pick up a gank because our bot lane's struggling a little bit, but we're going to get caught out. They have a ward, and so we won't be able to move in on them, unfortunately. So we're just going to take this dragon instead. But while we are taking this dragon, we notice that we have Malzahar just kind of poking his head out over here since he knows we're missing. We are, though, going to run to him. He is going to try to ult this Lux. I'm going to move in. My pillar barely misses to knock him off. Or maybe it did. I don't think it did, though. But like when he's suppressing someone like that, you can actually use your pillar and put it right underneath him and it'll knock him out of his ability. So you can actually knock certain people out of certain spells depending on if they're channeling it or how you know, just how that champion works. So gonna move in here. We lose the turret and we lose Yasuo. Not Yasuo, sorry. Yasuo's on the other team. We lose our ADC, but we're just gonna go ahead and pick up a kill on the Caitlyn. Now we're gonna chase after Yasuo now, and he's gonna be tricky. He will knock me up. But between the two of us, we both have a red buff too, so it's just going to be extremely hard for him to get away. He does block a few things, but we're going to be able to get the kill. And that'll help us out continuing through this game. Now, as for your very last ability, it is your ultimate, which is, of course, your Subjugate, I believe is what it's called. Now what happens here is you're going to steal a percentage of your target's health, armor, and magic resist for the next 4 seconds. And then you're also going to deal a little bit of ability power damage, you know, a little bit of magic damage to them while you do this, based off of percentage of the enemy's maximum health. And you're also going to reduce their armor and magic resist, I believe, while you're doing this too. Basically, it's like the Uber buff. If you ever get in a 1v1 with anyone and you can like bait out the kill by using your ult in the middle of the fight, like if you're both like at half health while you're fighting, and then you start getting a little bit lower, and then you just use the ult, all of a sudden you're just gonna get a big chunk of life, armor, magic resist, and they're basically going to lose a bunch of theirs too, and it's you can bait so many fights out with it. But what you typically would want to do is, if there's only one target, obviously focus the person, that you're focusing, but usually you'd want to ult the tankiest person on their team to gain better stats from it, and cutting their stats, basically in half. So, I mean, if they have a super tanky like Rammus, if you ult him, you're going to grab his stats, which will be much tankier than a Caitlyn's stats. So you'd want to do something like that if you had the option. And that's your ultimate. We're going to max that out, obviously, at levels 6, 11, and 16. Now, as for the build items, what we did is we obviously started with the Hunter's Machete, and we went to blue buff, we took that, and we did all that fun stuff early on. And we built that into the Spirit of the Ancient Golem. We want the health. We want that as our jungling item. It is very, very good on Trundle, and we're going to use it. It also has that tenacity built into it, which is very, very good. And since it does have all that fun stuff, we're going to be able to pick up the Ninja Tabby. And the Ninja Tabby is what we need, because we don't need Merc Treads because we have tenacity already, so we're not too worried about that. And this way we pick up a little bit of armor as we continue to pick up our next items. Now, Vi came in deep. We're going to be able to pick up a kill on her, or at least our team does. I picked up an assist. Now we're going to continue to move over. I believe I ulted Yasuo there, which, whatever. There's no really tanky person over here. But now Leona goes in with a good grab, and the Lux is able to pick up a kill. She is unfortunately going to die, our Leona. But we can keep chasing. Trundle is a very good chaser. He's kind of hard to get away from with the whole pillars and the ability for him to speed himself up, and whenever he takes a bite, it does kind of, just for a split second, slows them down while he chomps on them. So Trundle's just really, really, really good with his odd utility. He really doesn't do tons of damage. All of his abilities don't do damage. Only your Q and your ultimate do. So you just rely on standard attacking and your utility to really get the job done. But it works really well. And I think he's really fun. A lot of people who have been on my channel for a long time know that Trundle is actually one of my favorite champions in the game. And I'm happy to see him back in the LCS more so lately, so makes me happy. Here we're going to catch out Caitlyn. She has to flash through the pillar to get out of its slow area, or else she would have got caught out immediately. We are going to be able to get a kill for our ADC and get her killed. Unfortunately, we are getting closed in on, and this is just something we can't really fight. It's a 4v3. Leona's now just kind of giving herself up. We'll really get caught out again. We'll lose our ADC, but I'll get away at least. So it was unfortunate we lost 2 just to get the Caitlyn, but we did not have very, very good vision. And if we would have, then, then we would have been better off that way. But unfortunately, no dice for us. Anyways, back to the build items. Let's talk about those. We started building towards our next item, which is Spirit Vistage. I don't know why it took me so long to think of that. I was staring right at it. Anyways, so Spirit Vistage will be our next item. It works really, really well on Trundle because, as we already mentioned, you get a percentage of health back based off of, your life whenever anything dies around you. Anything. Well, maybe not your allies. I don't think that counts. Anyways, whenever enemies die around you. So minions and enemy champions and buffs in the jungle, all that stuff. So if we get a Spirit Vistage, basically this amplifies a lot of our healing, which allows us to heal even more. One cool thing about Trundle, which makes him kind of a pain in the butt, besides his ultimate kind of just being the uber buff, what happens is you get into team fights, and if you keep killing somebody off on their team while you're around them, you keep getting a percentage of life back, which means you can continue to tank. And with a Spirit Vistage, we get a bigger percentage back. So if you notice right now, whenever we're around things dying, or we're getting, assists or kills, or anything's dying, we don't have any lifesteal right now at all in our build. You'll always see a lot of numbers popping off of me like I have lifesteal. But that's because, we have our passive and that Spirit Vistage, which is healing us anyways with some health regen. So just solid concept stuff right here. It's pretty generic. That's just what you want on Trundle. Spirit Vistage is kind of like a Mundo item too. Mundo pretty much needs a Spirit Vistage because it amplifies all of his healing. It just works kind of the same way on Trundle. You just really, really want it. Now, we have plenty of magic resist at this point, and we are building fairly tanky because, Trundle in the jungle, fairly tanky. Most junglers build fairly tanky. Just depends on the jungler, but Trundle can go both ways. But we're going to go ahead and get into another fight. We are just going to all jump on top of Vi. She keeps getting into the wrong places at the wrong time. pick up a kill on the Renek K-Ton, and now we'll put a pillar down, which will slow down Malzahar, which will allow us all to catch up to him, take a bite out of him, slow him down, and with the red buff we have, just even more slows. So he's not going to get away. Jax will pick that up, and Jax is actually going to dive in deep right now and pick up a kill on Caitlyn too, so good work on Jax's part. He's pretty fed right now too. In fact, 3 of us are decently fed right now, so hooray for being fed. Now Yasuo shows up, and he gets greedy. Although I'll give him props. He's doing some decent damage, but Leona shows up and stunning here, and yeah, he's not gonna live. So I'll pick up the kill on him. But you know, he tried. Whatever. Anyways, now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about runes. Now runes, there's a few options here, but I'm just gonna tell you what I like to take. I like to take the attack damage marks on my Trundle in the jungle. I also take armor seals. That's pretty standard. You pretty much want to always take armor seals on, well, almost anyone, but on pretty much all your junglers. And then you want the magic resist per level glyphs. At least that's what I take. I like them. They're good. They scale. And then as for our quintessences, I take the movement speed ones, which allow for better ganks, just better chasing, and just, you know, just helps them out. So pretty standard. If you want to take anything else, obviously, if you can justify a reason behind it, then go ahead and take it. That's personal preference stuff, but, you know, everything's, you know, personal preference in League. You can build whatever the hell you want. Obviously, this is just a suggestion of a build. That last trip back, we did, in fact, pick up a Sunfire Cape, though. And the Sunfire Cape's pretty helpful. We're going to get, you know, the, you know, Giant's Belt in it, which gives us way more health. We get more armor, which is helpful. And we're going for a little bit of damage now to help the team out, because we are, you know, ahead. As you can see in gold, we got a 9,000k gold lead, and we're going to go ahead and turn around this fight right now. We were pinging that we were going to turn it around. Here we go. We're going to go ahead and ult the, pretty sure we ulted there. Yeah, we did. We ulted the Renekton, which we stole his stats. Now I'm going to go small again, because you get a little bit bigger too in size when you do ult. And Yasuo is going to be all jumpy around you, but there's 5 of us. You're not going to get away. I don't understand why he would want to fight us, but okay. We will all take an assist on that and push your lane now. So, yes. Anyways, back to the Sunfire Cape. It's a good item. It's kind of your in-between wanting to be tanky and having some damage for Trundle. I would also recommend a Omen if you just want to get tanky, because a Randuin's Omen's just, well, it's tankier. It has more stats on it, and it also has the awesome active and passive on it. So Omen's another really good option at this point too. So that is another thing I'm going to recommend. Now, they do pick up a few kills here because 2 of us were super low, but I will pick up the kill on Yasuo, and now I'm legendary. Which isn't too bad considering I died once to a tower early because of lag, which was hilarious. I started attacking it while I was killing Yasuo. That was funny if you remember seeing that earlier in the game. I don't enjoy dying that way, but whatever. And Lux picks up another kill, and I pick up another assist, which is helpful. Now, we're going to go ahead at this point in the game and start building towards a Trinity Force. We picked up the Phage. Can't talk today, that's weird. Picked up the Phage, though, and the Phage is good. We went to the Phage. And if you're really ahead with Trundle, which I don't say we were really ahead. We kind of had a slower start, but now we're doing well. But if you're really ahead with Trundle, you can rush a Trinity Force on him. It is not a bad item. It actually helps him pretty much in every way, which it does with most champions. Obviously, the Sheen proc is good. We like that. It's helpful, especially with our Chomp. We can use Chomp very often. It's on a very low cooldown. And then we also do have the Zeal, which, you know, increased movement speed, crit chance, and attack speed, never a bad thing. And then the Phage just allows us to chase easier, because whenever you're standard attacking, you get that increased movement speed. So just a really solid item on Trundle. Here we're going to catch out Vi. She gets stuck on the pillar, which is good. If you use your pillar right, you can actually get people like stuck on terrain. So practicing your pillar is pretty important. We're going to chase pretty deep here. And we have them working on mid, so we're just kind of actually a massive distraction in bot. Now, Leona comes back in, and I'm running away. Now I'm going to come back to try to help her, but then I realize I probably shouldn't help her. Now I'm just going to get killed. So, the price you pay for trying to help your teammates. That will happen, though, I suppose. Anyways, now we're dead because, you know, teamwork. And we picked up the Sheen part of the Triforce. And Triforce is really what we're going for. That's what we really want. Now, after the Trinity Force is done, obviously there's many ways to finish the build. and we'll talk about a few of those options. Now, if you want to go with a Guardian Angel, that's something I've always enjoyed on Trundle, especially as somebody who can gain health back when he is, when enemies are dying around him. So if you get killed off with your GA and then it pops back up and everybody else has been, wounded a little bit more, you can turn around team fights and get a bunch of health back because of it. So a Guardian Angel actually does work really well on him. Obviously, we've seen the Blade of the Ruined King build up in top lane. That's how I actually do like to start off with Trundle when I am in top lane, because, you play him way more aggressive up there because you're laning. So, that's something you can do if you want the Blade of the Ruined King. It is really, really good. I've done it as well as my last item. Another thing you can do if you want more pushing presence, because he doesn't really push lanes very hard because he only, attacks one target at the time. If you want to pick up a Ravenous Hydra, you pick up more damage, which will scale better with your Trinity Force. And it's just a good item anyways, because you can push those lanes quicker with all that AoE from the Hydra. So here, for some reason, Smite doesn't go off, but luckily we picked this up with an orb. For some crazy reason, I don't know, whatever. But we pick up Baron, which we don't really need. It's kind of ridiculously over at this point, so we're just going to go ahead and run into their base and kill everyone and finish this game off. But that is pretty much a Trundle build. What did we not cover? Masteries. For most of my junglers, I take them tanky, as you can tell with the builds and stuff, but I go with a 9-21-0. You can see that in my Masteries videos, which is in the description. Actually, you can go ahead and check those out. If you have any questions, you can put them down in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you have not, for more League content. And other than that, just murder people with Trundle. It's so much fun. And dance taunt for victories, because that's what you want to do. But I'll just see all of you guys next time. We're going to get into a little fight, though, with the Renekton. Now, at this point, if he does have minions between him and me, I'm going to land briefcases quite constantly, and it is just kiting people for days. And you're not going to get away from it. So the main thing you want to do when you're chasing Asmundo is make sure you connect with the briefcases.